On a 2019 to 2024 Ram 1500 Classic with the 3.6 Pentastar P0141 is O2 sensor 1/2 heater performance. In plain terms, the PCM may be commanding that oxygen sensor heater on and not seeing the expected heater temperature change. The truck may have the MIL on, and it can often still drive normally. For this code, keep your fault areas broad at first. The heater control side, the heater ground, the sensor heater itself, connector integrity, and only after the circuit path checks out, the PCM. This is a guided electrical diagnosis, so prove the condition first, then separate the sensor element from the harness and control side. Before jumping into the circuit, start with the basic pre-checks. The monitor is gated by operating conditions. Battery voltage between 11.0 volts and 15.8 volts. O2 sensor heater temperature greater than 401 degrees C, 754 degrees F. Engine coolant temperature and ambient temperature greater than 7 degrees C, 45 degrees F. And the difference between coolant temperature at engine start and ambient temperature greater than 9 degrees C, 48 degrees F. The failure logic is simple. No temperature change is detected in the O2 sensor 1/2 heater element when the heater circuit is active. Reproduce the operating conditions before you decide the code is gone. Turn the ignition off and let the sensor cool. Wait a minimum of 8 minutes before continuing. At that point, the sensor voltage should stabilize between 2.47 and 2.52 volts. Turn the ignition on, use the scan tool to actuate the O2 sensor 1/2 heater control, and monitor O2 sensor 1/2 voltage for at least 2 minutes. If the voltage stays above approximately 4.5 volts, continue down this diagnostic path. If it does not stay above approximately 4.5 volts, treat it as an intermittent condition and do not guess your way through the hard fault tests. Next, use the scan tool to read and record the codes. If other oxygen sensor heater circuit codes are active or pending, check what they mean first and follow the applicable diagnostic path for those faults. If there are no other active or pending oxygen sensor heater circuit codes, stay with P0141 and move to the heater element resistance check. Turn the ignition off and let the O2 sensor heater cool for a few minutes after the scan tool heater test. Disconnect the O2 sensor 1/2 harness connector. Measure the heater element resistance across the sensor between the O2 heater control terminal and the heater ground terminal on the component side. Resistance changes with temperature, so use the temperature-based range. If possible, measure near approximately 20 degrees C, 68 degrees F. At 0 degrees C, 32 degrees F, the range is 3.142 ohms. At 20 degrees C, 68 degrees F, the range is 3.344 ohms. At 100 degrees C, 212 degrees F, the range is 3.855 ohms. The maximum allowable resistance would be 12.5 ohms at 1000 degrees C. If the resistance is within the acceptable range, move on to the heater control circuit. If it is not within the acceptable range, verify good pentaterminal contact in the sensor and control module connectors. If no connector problems are found, replace the O2 sensor, then verify the repair and confirm the code stays gone. If the sensor heater resistance checks good, move to the control circuit. Disconnect the PCM C2 harness connector. Do not probe the PCM harness connectors. Probing them can damage the PCM terminals and create a poor terminal-to-pin connection. Use the GPEC diagnostic adapter 10436 for this test. Measure resistance in the K299 O2 sensor 1/2 heater control circuit between the O2 sensor 1/2 harness connector and the adapter. If resistance is below 3.0 ohms, continue to the ground circuit. If resistance is not below 3.0 ohms, repair the K299 heater control circuit for an open or high resistance. Then verify the repair and confirm the code stays gone. Now check the O2 sensor 1/2 ground side. Measure resistance between ground and the O2 sensor 1/2 ground circuit at the O2 sensor 1/2 harness connector. If resistance is below 3.0 ohms, move to the connection inspection. If resistance is not below 3.0 ohms, repair the O2 sensor 1/2 ground circuit for an open or high resistance. Then verify the repair and confirm the code stays gone. With the sensor element, control circuit, and ground circuit checked, inspect the related connections. Disconnect all PCM harness connectors, any related inline harness connectors if equipped, and the related component connectors. Look for connector installation problems, damaged locks, corrosion, signs of water intrusion, whether seal damage if equipped, bent terminals, overheating from a poor connection, terminals pushed back in the cavity, spread terminals, and poor terminal tension. Repair any conditions found. Then reconnect the PCM connectors, inline connectors if equipped, and component connectors, making sure everything is fully seated and locked. Erase the codes, test drive or operate the vehicle under the operating conditions for the fault, and read the codes again. If P0141 returns after those checks, replace and program the PCM using the proper programming process, then verify the repair. If the code does not return, finish the poor connection repair path and verify the repair. Keep verification separate from testing. After any sensor replacement, circuit repair, connection repair, or PCM programming, erase the codes, operate the vehicle under the conditions that allow the monitor to run, and confirm P0141 stays gone. Bottom line, prove heater response first, then isolate the element, the control circuit, the ground, and the connections before making the final call. For more diagnostic training, visit Diagnostics.com.